I hit 5,000 subscribers in 6 weeks. I got my 4,000 watch hours and I also got monetized, which is crazy. You cannot improve an idea you do not execute. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Love Marby, where we talk about all things home, heart, and hosting. I'm Michelle Marby Davies, and if you're new here, just imagine if Oprah and Martha Stewart had a baby. I would basically be the end result because I love deep, rich conversations, but I also love hosting dinner parties, gathering people, and elevating my home. Today, we are getting into a hot topic because I feel like for so many of us, there's things we want to do, but we keep on talking ourselves out of it, or we just don't have access to information that would help move us forward. And sometimes we can get frustrated and give up. And I really believe in having open and honest conversations that could help someone else move forward in the direction of what they want to do. So we're going to get into all the tea today about my YouTube journey and how I've done things so far and what I found has worked for me. Even if you don't want to start YouTube, this could be relevant to something else you want to do, whether it's Instagram or TikTok. I really do believe in gathering as much information as possible and making it work for you. Okay, so let's get into it. I've got my notes. I hit 5,000 subscribers in 6 weeks. I got my 4,000 watch hours and I also got monetized, which is crazy. I've actually wanted to start YouTube for several years. I think about 3 or 4 years, but I would keep talking myself out of it because I love watching YouTube. I love watching the vlogs and I love watching people share their knowledge. But I would keep telling myself that I'm just not ready, or I need expert equipment, or that maybe I just needed to look a particular way before I could even start. And I would put all these obstacles and barriers in my way. And eventually I just said, you know what? It's just time to try. I actually tried with YouTube over a year ago when I wanted to do a video format of my podcast and live event Tables and Tales, and it just flopped. It didn't work, and it's kind of embarrassing, but there were so many things I didn't know then that I know now, and I'm gonna get into sharing all of that with you. The first thing that I think has worked really well for me when it comes to YouTube is doing research. I think there is so much valuable information out there, information that people give free of charge. Of course, there are courses and places where you can pay to learn, but on YouTube alone, there is so much information, and I apply this model to anything I do. Even when I wanted to start my podcast, I would listen to podcasts about podcasting. Blogs, I would read other people's blogs about starting up a blog. Whatever it is you want to do, the best way to equip yourself is by doing extensive research. So when I was editing for content on Instagram or TikTok, or when I had just any kind of free time, I would listen to videos and podcasts about what it takes to succeed on YouTube. Now, obviously, with anything, there is so much information out there online, and this can be a con sometimes because sometimes the information can be conflicting. But the truth of the matter is, just like when it comes to cooking a recipe, I will find 5, look for the main things that are true across the board, and then kind of tweak things to suit my kitchen, my space, or my taste buds. And I feel like it's the same when it comes to research. You need to take what you need and leave the rest. Like, take it with a pinch of salt, leave the rest. But I really appreciated having access to so much information online, even when it came to things like titles and thumbnails and how to communicate and engage with your audience. Like, there's so much information out there that is valuable and priceless. But one thing I would recommend is definitely spending about 4 to 6 weeks of just taking in as much information as you possibly can, because you'll start to notice the things that ring true across the board. Speaking of research, here are the top tips I found. Number 1 is you have to be audience focused. Now, this comes up so much when it comes to content online around YouTube, and they're not lying. Like, when people say you have to focus on your audience and what your audience needs, they are telling the truth. And I think sometimes when we hear information over and over again, it sounds too easy. It sounds too good to be true, so you discount it. But the people online who are telling you, they are not lying. You need to figure out, 1, what it is you want to share and discuss about, and then put the audience at the center. Have the audience as your focus. Always think about what questions they have, what they're looking for, and kind of present your videos as if you're answering those questions, even if no one has submitted a question to you. When I look at my stats in terms of what has performed better than other videos, it's always the videos where I'm answering questions about how to do something. My content pillars are home, heart, and hosting. So I started off with videos focusing on the home and with hosting. And even when I look at the first Q&A video I uploaded, that has significantly lower views than others, because like people will always tell you online, nobody really cares about you unless you are an influential or big figure. And this is coming from someone who does have a large following on TikTok and Instagram. I'm approaching a new audience. YouTube is a different audience to the audience that follows me on Instagram and TikTok already. They are not familiar with me. They do not want to know my life story straight away. They want to know what information I have that is useful to them before they can then be interested in things about me. And I think when we hear this, sometimes we think, well, I don't want to sit and lecture people. That might not be the content style that you're interested in. But even if you are going to share something, let's say a vlog style, you need to incorporate things that are useful for the person. So say, for example, you are going to share a vlog about your weekend in New York or Philly. Maybe instead of centering it around you and yourself, maybe how you're going to angle the video would be focused on things that people can do in Philly, things that people can do in New York, interesting things that they can do in their 30s. Like whatever it is that's unique about you and the knowledge that you have, incorporate all of that together, but always think about your audience. And honestly, this will always pay off over and over again. My highest ranking videos on my channel are definitely videos where I'm educating my audience. Even if it's from the lens of the way I would do things in my home, there's still someone that's looking for that information. And the truth of the matter is you can feel like, oh, but there's other people that are teaching about this subject online. But someone wants to hear it from your perspective. Someone likes the way you wear your lashes, the way you do your hair. People want to look for other people that are kind of similar to them, and it makes it easier for them to take in information. It's either that or you're a really well-respected figure in that industry, and then people will kind of lean into what you have to say. But for the most part, don't discount the fact that there's a unique point of view that you have and a way that you would share that's valuable to your audience. Another top tip I found was the importance of titles and thumbnails. Your titles and your thumbnails are so incredibly important. I'm not gonna lie, the first thing I did was go on Etsy because I tried to sit on Canva and come up with one myself, but it just wasn't hitting the way I needed it to. And for about £10, someone had a pack that included your banner. It had things like your end screen, your intro. It had everything that I needed to kickstart me, and it had thumbnails as well. And what I did was I went in and I kind of messed around with the settings and how things were laid out because I still wanted it to look a particular way. And it was just nice to have a kickstart to that. What I also did was go and look at other channels, not only where their views were high, but also things that were attractive to me, things that I would look for and engage with, because I think sometimes when it comes to social media platforms, you have to think like your audience. Think, what kind of stories do I watch on Instagram? What kind of videos do I watch on YouTube? Start to observe and analyze what makes me click, what makes me go past just scrolling, and what makes me stop when it comes to YouTube. And what I definitely noticed with YouTube, especially as someone who watches YouTube on their TV, is that I watch the little intro that comes up for like 10 or 15 seconds, and then I decide if I want to click on it. The same with thumbnails. I look at the thumbnails. If it pops, then I'm interested. But almost all the videos that I watched mentioned how important titles and thumbnails are. Your titles need to be searchable or intriguing at the very least, and center your audience once again. So where you can use you language, feel free to do so. On one of my videos, I said, make your home look like a luxury hotel. I could have said how I make my home, but I chose to center my audience instead. And that's really important. One thing I did do was I experimented when it came to the kind of images that I used in my thumbnails. So for some of my thumbnails, where the images look great from what I've captured on the night or whilst I'm filming, I would use that if it looked bright enough, if it was clear and crisp. And then sometimes I would also just go online and Google up some images and then use that for my thumbnail instead. But I did make sure that somewhere there was an image of me. I just use a background remover on Canva and I pop an image of myself just over in the corner somewhere, so people have an idea of who it is that's going to be talking in the video right from the thumbnail. Another way that I really made sure my thumbnails would pop was using big, bold text in the middle that really encapsulates what the video is about, and dimming the brightness of the image that's in the background. I wanted it to be at a point where once I played with the brightness and the contrast in Canva, you could still see the image, but it was the background to the text. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to show it on the screen. But essentially, it was really important for me to make sure that people could kind of just get an idea of what the video is about. And with the smaller text, I always kind of have like a byline or a tagline underneath that kind of summarizes key points or key things that they're going to get from watching the video. I know sometimes people do this in like a doodle format, and sometimes I play around with this when it comes to videos about dinner parties. But essentially, you want people to have an idea of what it is that you're sharing in the video based on the thumbnail and the title, and you want it to center the audience. Why should they watch the video? Always think about that when you're coming up with your titles and your thumbnails. Another top tip I found was you need to be search friendly. And this is true across all platforms, whether it's Instagram, TikTok. People need to be able to find whatever it is they're searching for. So again, you cannot be so self-centered. I use that word loosely, but you can't be so self-centered in the way that you title the video, especially if you're in the early stages of trying to grow your channel. I would use the inspiration tab on YouTube Studio, and I would click on that to kind of see what are people searching for, what are they looking for. And I think this is kind of focused around what they think your YouTube channel is about. But I would also go in the search bar and see, you know, kind of how people recommend on Google as well. If you type how to curl, see what comes up after, what are people looking for. But the YouTube inspiration section on YouTube Studio is really great for this. That's another top tip. Make sure you have YouTube Studio, the app, because it actually comes in really handy. The next top tip I found was that you need to be in it for the long haul. So my mindset across the board when it comes to Instagram, TikTok, any platform is that I have a marathon mindset. I don't need to be the fastest or the best in the room all the time. Shout out to my leak tail. But I just need to be in it for the long haul, because you will develop your skills and your resilience, your tenacity as a person and as a creator, which will impact all other areas of your life beyond the platform you're trying to grow on. But if you're so fixated on growing as quickly as possible, then you miss out on some of the lessons that you could learn that will carry you in the long run. So I would say don't be disheartened if the growth isn't happening as quickly as you would like it to be, because either way you're developing and refining your skills, even in that growth process. Now let's get into what my growth and the process actually looked like for me. I committed to uploading 2 videos a week because 1, I wanted to build my muscles of uploading. I wanted to increase my chances of growing, and I knew that if I said I was going to upload once a week or once a month, it would just take a lot longer. And I needed to just build that muscle of just being able to record, not overthink, and upload. Now, that was a huge undertaking. And I will caveat that by saying I am a full-time content creator. So I do this on Instagram and TikTok. And yes, it does take a lot of time, but the bulk of my time, or all of my time, is dedicated to creating content. So all I needed to do was figure out how to incorporate YouTube as a part of my process. And it did take a lot of work. There was 1 week where I missed uploading twice a week because I was basically approaching burnout, and I just said, look, it's not sustainable right now for me to maintain this, and I just needed a moment. I needed a break. But for the most part, I would say I've still stuck to uploading twice a week. And if not, maybe I might just upload once a week. But I kind of view it as the same challenge when Matty James did her challenge on Instagram. There's something about saying to yourself, you're going to upload for 30 days straight, which is what she would typically do. And it doesn't guarantee you growth and a following. 9 times out of 10, you will grow because you're putting yourself in the path of lightning. You're putting yourself in the path of luck striking you, right? But for the most part, what it does guarantee is that you're building your muscles of posting without overthinking. You create more. It's kind of that analogy people always give of the students that were tasked with creating a photography project once a day for 30 days. And the other students, I think, that were tasked with creating the best project possible. Ones who took pictures every single day ended up with an excellent project, whereas the ones who were fixated on trying to create the best project possible and really thinking about it and dilly-dallying, I think the story is that they just didn't end up creating anything. But the truth is, you develop your skills the more you do something. And I'm such a huge believer of this. Sometimes we don't feel confident in the things that we want to do because we just don't have enough man hours. You haven't put your 10,000 hours in. And I always give the analogy of you not feeling a lack of confidence when you're boiling pasta or when you're making cereal. You can do it in your sleep. You've done it so often that you can do it in your sleep. So you can't complain about a lack of growth if you're not showing up in the court, in the basketball court every day to practice how to shoot, right? So I'm not saying you need to post every day. I'm not saying you need to post twice a week. I'm saying find what's manageable for you, but also leave room to stretch yourself a little bit. Do something that feels a bit uncomfortable, because once you stretch yourself, you expand your capacity, you expand what you're able to do. And I've learned that from doing challenges on Instagram with Matty James, where it's like we'll post for 30 days straight. It's not because I know I'm going to post every single day on Instagram for the rest of my life, but I build the muscle of showing up. I build the muscle of posting without overthinking. I become quicker when it comes to editing, right? Then what also helped with my growth was doing what was manageable for me. So I started with videos where I was sitting and talking, and I would incorporate B-roll. And that's honestly what I still do. I know that when it comes to editing vlog style videos, which I have tried, I am like, wow, this takes a lot of work to piece things together and to figure out how to make it engaging and interesting. But one thing I do know how to do is sit down and talk, because I have been doing it for years. When there was a following, when there wasn't a following, I have practiced showing up and engaging with my audience. And I do it on Instagram, I do it on TikTok, and I've just figured out how to adapt that for YouTube. So figure out what works for you. You might be someone who vlog style videos work really well for you. You might be someone who cooking videos or whatever it is, something works better for you. But I found that just sitting down, talking to the camera, filming B-roll and incorporating that all together, that's what works for me. Another thing that helped with my growth was I embraced the cringe, and I started posting my videos onto social media platforms. I found ways to condense the clips, convert it into a vertical format like 9:16, and then share that across other platforms. I was sharing it on TikTok, on Instagram, on Threads, right? Because you never know who's gonna see it on a particular platform and go and find your video. And I think sometimes we feel like, oh, maybe because I'm a beginner, I don't really wanna share. I don't want people to see that, oh, my video has like 25 views. Because it can feel a bit embarrassing, like you're promoting your video for people to watch on other platforms, and they go there and it's like, oh, it's 25 views, crickets. But honestly, as a creator and in any other part of your life, you have to be willing to embrace the cringe. You have to be willing to be a beginner and let people see you being a beginner all over again. The one thing I did learn was that I needed to find ways to make it more engaging for those platforms. So sometimes just simply cutting out snippets from the YouTube video wouldn't work. Sometimes I would do voiceovers where I would talk about essentially what I'm sharing in the video, but maybe an overview of it. So if I'm talking on my YouTube video about ways to elevate your home, I might talk about the importance of having a space that's well curated in a 30-second video. I might share a voiceover on that with some B-roll clips on Instagram. So I'm still sharing an overview of the same message, but it's something that piques people's interest, and they will then go over to YouTube if they want and watch. I would share it on my broadcast channel, I would share it on TikTok, I would share it on Instagram. And on Threads, oddly, is where it would pick up a lot of traffic sometimes, and people would say, oh, I'm going to watch, I'm interested, and I'm gonna go see. When I would hit a milestone and there was some level of growth, I would kind of share about it on other platforms. And this can feel sometimes like, oh my God, am I bragging? Am I being boastful? Especially in British culture, there's something inside that's just kind of like, oh, I just need to play humble. And it's fake humility. It's like you've worked hard, you're putting in the work. Shout about it from the rooftops, because it will also attract people that maybe are interested in what you're doing or do want to be a part of your community. And I think sometimes it's just about being willing to be vocal about what it is you're doing. So the first video that I posted on YouTube got about 2,000 views in, I want to say about 10 days or so. And that was a surprise to me, because that was part of a paid partnership, and it was really short. It was about 6 or 7 minute long video. And I was really nervous because it was my first video on YouTube after trying the whole podcast scenario, and that felt like a flop. The one thing to mention here at this point is that when it comes to getting monetized or reaching your 4,000 watch hours, YouTube does not count anything beyond 365 days. So any views that you got over a year ago doesn't count. So I was basically starting from scratch again, and it was so nerve-wracking. But what I did was go on other videos where people were talking about hosting and entertaining, because this was a video about hosting girls' night. And I kind of saw, okay, what were they doing? How did their thumbnails look? What was the title like? And I incorporated all of that. And I really did not expect it to get that many views. And I was over the moon. I was like, 2,000 views? As a beginner on YouTube, count me in. Count me in, okay? Sorry guys, rookie mistake, but the battery on my camera died, so I had to go charge that. As you can see, I am still learning and figuring all this out. But I think what I was saying was that the second video that I posted, which was a Q&A style video, got a lot less views. And honestly, people don't really care unless you are a huge figure. And yes, on other social media platforms, I have a following, but I still had to do the work to get people on this new platform to care. What I definitely noticed was that the more educational content I posted, the more I grew. The more I was sharing knowledge about what I was passionate about, what I have experience on, people would watch that. Yes, there's a combination of making it visually appealing, but sometimes it can feel like, oh, well, I'm sharing about dinner parties and hosting, like who cares? Someone cares. Someone is looking for you. You just need to put yourself in the path of lightning. You need to upload the content so YouTube can find those people and share it with them. And you need to do all the things that are within your power to make it appealing for them to want to watch. So then I hit 1K subscribers by the 21st of August, which again, I did not expect. I really expected that it would take me a lot longer. And then by the 30th of August, I had hit 4,000 watch hours, which is insane because my first video of the year, 365 days that YouTube is counting, was the 5th of August. And then by the 30th of August, I'd hit those 4,000 watch hours. I did not expect that, but this is what I mean by you need to put yourself in the path of lightning. For some people, they'll say, oh, this is like a new version of YouTube. It's giving you a lot more views than it previously would. Okay, that's fine. And that could be a privilege that's working in my favor, but I still have to put myself in the path of lightning when lightning is about to strike, right? I wouldn't have access to that advantage if I didn't upload the video, if I didn't do the work to make it visually appealing, if I didn't work on communicating clearly with my audience, right? But yeah, essentially a month after uploading my first video, or just under a month, I hit my 4,000 watch hours. And I know some people get confused when they look on the monetization page and they see 3,000 hours for one and 4,000 hours for another. 3,000 hours is for you to get access to particular advantages that YouTube has for you to get monetized, like I think memberships, shopping, supers, things like that. And 4,000 hours is for you to actually get ads on your long form videos and your short form videos. Now, I know a lot of people are pushing shorts as a way to get monetized. I think the amount of work that you would have to do to hit that, for me, it just didn't feel appealing. And from what I've observed, that works really well on shorts. It's just not typically the style of content or approach that I would like to take. I like it to feel like I'm sitting down, having a good chin wag. I like it when it feels like the people that I'm engaging with on long form videos is in the content that I watch. It feels like they're like a girlfriend that I'm watching living their life, or someone sharing knowledge with me, or a podcast. I feel like with shorts, it is very much about catching people's attention really quickly and having to do that constantly. And to a certain extent, you do that with long form videos, but with shorts, it's really excessive for me. And it just wasn't my cup of tea. But if it's working for you, please go ahead and do so. But I opted to work for 4,000 watch hours, 1,000 subscribers, and that's what it took to then get monetized. But I officially made the YouTube Partner Program on the 2nd of September, which was so exciting. And it felt great because I know stateside there are people who get paid Instagram bonuses, threads bonuses, things like that. But for me, YouTube has been by far the most rewarding. I have not had that on any other platforms. Being able to get paid for the work that I do directly and sharing about something that I love. And yes, I have to do the work to create the videos, take the content, edit, but it's so rewarding to know that I can get paid from doing what I'm already doing on other platforms, just adapting it to be suitable for long form content. I love that for me, and I would recommend it to people over and over again. So then in terms of growth, the final thing is that I made 4K subs on the 15th of September. And then by the 18th of September, I hit 5K subs, which is crazy. That's 1,000 new subscribers in about 3 days. And that's mind blowing for me. I did not expect that. And again, like some people will say, it's a new type of YouTube. They're giving out views a lot easier. That's fine. I'ma take it, okay? And currently, today is the 20th of September as I'm recording this, and I have 5,435 subscribers, which again is blowing my mind because we're on the way to 6,000 subscribers. And I know there is not always correlation between the amount of subscribers you have and the amount of views. I think that's very true. One of the videos that's performing really well is at about 53,000 views. That's a lot more than the subscribers I have. So it does push your content out to more people. Sometimes people don't subscribe, but they'll still watch your video and get value from it, and you'll still get paid. So to round off, I'm gonna share my top tips which can help you grow on YouTube, but you can also apply to other platforms as well. This is what I share with people when they ask about content creation generally, but this is now specific to YouTube. Number one is you need to be clear on your content pillars. Some people will say you need to be clear on your why, you need to be clear on your niche. I think even if you are scared to be honed into one particular niche, always know that you can pivot. Always know that you can change, you can adapt, and your audience can grow with you. Those who want to stay will stay, and those who need to go will go. But people kind of need to be able to identify you as something. People will say, yes, you are the niche. That's fine. But unless you're generally going to be sharing this cool girl aesthetic, or even sometimes leaning into over-consumerism or portraying a lifestyle that you actually can't maintain, because that is often what catches people's eyes on social media, and we can talk about that another time. For the most part, you need to have something that people can identify you with. Mine is home, heart, and hosting. Those are my 3 content pillars. Over the years, I've evolved, and originally when I started on Instagram, I was mainly all about sharing food recipes. Yes, I was about bringing food and conversation together, but with time, I've allowed myself to evolve and things to change. I've allowed myself to pivot and know that what I love sharing about is home, heart, and hosting, sharing about ways to elevate your home, heart topics, having deep conversations, which we are yet to get into on Here More, and hosting, how to host dinner parties, how to gather people, and how to do that well. But share what you know. I think sometimes we overlook our experience, we overlook the knowledge that we have because it seems so simple to us. If you are the best, there's a lady that currently is kind of blowing up on Instagram, Jade Bolt, I believe, and she keeps sharing about like roller curls, and obviously there's more that she shares about, but I saw her roller set. I can't even use rollers the way she does, but I saw it and I was like, girl, you are gorgeous. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, the girl that shares about roller sets. Any given Sunday, when I watch her content, I associated her initially with the girl that does content around how to perfect your makeup routine. And with time and following her, she talks about hosting and entertaining. She shared content around baking goods that are similar to particular fragrances that she likes. She shares about travel, all these things. People will pick and choose what they specifically want to lean into you for, but your job is to start with something and then you can expand, but know that people will follow you for what they are specifically interested in anyway. But make it easier for yourself to stand out by consistently, aggressively sharing about something in particular, even if to you it feels like, why would anybody want to watch that? Find your why. A video I will always recommend is Simon Sinek, Start With Why. If you want to start a business, if you want to start sharing content, no matter what it is you want to do, start with your why, because that will even impact the type of content you create. Some of the tips that some people share won't work for you because maybe you're trying to sell products specifically. Yes, there are general principles and general rules that will work across the board, but understanding your why is the life hack. Understanding what's unique about you is the life hack, and doing more of that in terms of your daily life, because you can't share content from a vacuum. You can't share what you don't live and what you don't know. And that's why you get so many people sometimes regurgitating other people's content. Part of being able to be interesting enough to have something to share and something to say is to live life and to have some sort of experience in whatever field it is so that your content can flow from there. Okay? The next tip is to do research when it comes to thumbnails. Do your research, buy a pack if you need to. There are so many on Etsy, and tweak and change and play around with things. I love using Canva to tweak the template that I got from Etsy, and I've changed it quite a bit. Even the fact that I added kind of like an image of myself with the background removed, something that I saw, for example, on someone like House of Valentina or even other people. And I just adapted that with the template that I got, and it works really well for me. But don't be afraid to change and tweak things, but do your research. Find out what people are sharing. There are people with tons and tons of experience on this platform. Listen to people that you wouldn't typically think to listen to because maybe they don't specifically look like you, or they don't share content that you feel like you would watch. They will probably know something that you can still use when it comes to your content and growing and evolving. The next thing that I would say is put the content out there first. You will never know how to grow if you don't try. You cannot improve an idea you don't execute. You cannot improve an idea you do not execute. You simply need to try, put the content out there first, and then that way you will learn how to improve. You will learn what needs to change. But after a while, you have to stop watching all the videos. You have to stop watching all the content. You have to stop talking about it to your friends, because sometimes the more you talk about it, the more you feel like you are doing it, but you're actually not doing anything. You're not taking active steps towards the change that you want to see. You cannot improve on an idea you don't execute. You need to put the content out there first. You need to execute and then find ways to improve. Anything that you see and enjoy, whether it's Uber, which started out apparently as a limousine company, whether it's YouTube, which apparently was a dating platform initially, like anything you see now and anything you see and enjoy is an iteration of something that existed at one point, and they've tweaked it and said, that doesn't work. We're gonna drop that and we're gonna change it and we're gonna do this. This iPad, there was a version and several versions of it before this. The cup that you use, there was a way they made the handle, and eventually they were like, maybe that doesn't work, based on research, based on feedback. They tweaked it. They didn't stop and say, oh, the first cup didn't work and I'm just gonna stop and leave it there. Or they didn't continuously plan the cup and never launch it. Put the video out. It's not going to be great. You're going to not like the way you show up on camera initially, but eventually you will evolve. I know a year from now, I'm going to look back at some of these videos and be like, damn, Michelle, you could have done this and this and that, but I won't know that at that point. Future me won't have the opportunity to assess and evolve if current me doesn't do the work and put it out there, right? The next tip, similar to what I said before, is you need to assess what's working. Implement feedback, implement changes, but be active about going back and assessing what's working. Don't just throw things at the wall, see what sticks. You need to go and examine, see, okay, when I did this, did it work? Do I need to do this? Do I need to adjust? Another thing that's worked really well for me, apart from just watching other people's videos and content that I like to watch and seeing what makes me lean into their content, is using TubeBuddy. Now, I know other people recommend this all the time, but they are not lying. I haven't signed up for the pro version yet because I feel like I have so many subscriptions for things that I'm like, do I need another one? But just testing it out so far on the free version, it's fantastic. It has great recommendations when it comes to your titles. I love the title generator because you can go in and see, okay, how else could I phrase this to make it more searchable? I love the fact that it gives me tips like I need to go in and add chapters. So now after I upload a video, I'll go in and add chapters, because I know sometimes when I'm watching other people's videos, I want to scroll and see, okay, what are they actually talking about at particular points, or maybe I want to skip to a particular point. It tells you to pin a comment, it tells you to like comments. Like sometimes when you upload, or even on other people's videos, when you have TubeBuddy on your desktop, it will show you what they are doing well and kind of rank it based on all the things they need to do for the video to perform well. And you can kind of see that. And I love that. It's such a great tool. I would recommend it. The next tip is to practice clear and concise communication where you're actually adding value. This is something that I say, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, and it doesn't always need to look the same. You don't always need to be sitting and talking at the camera. It doesn't always need to be in a tutorial format. It can be in any way. Again, with Any Given Sunday, she was sharing concise, valuable information by saying, this is how you're going to learn how to do your eyeshadow as a beginner. This is how you're going to learn how to apply your lashes. This is how you're going to apply blush. It's concise. And then maybe when it comes to her travel content, it's educational, but still concise. It's clear. What are the points you want to communicate? If you can say it in 10 minutes, don't say it in 20. Even if it's that you think, oh, if I upload longer videos, I'll get more watch time, people will trail off. And sometimes people will trail off anyway. Maybe they've gotten what they need to and they're out, or they get sick of hearing your voice. That's okay, right? But if you can say it in 10 minutes, don't say it in 30. Find a way to be as clear and concise as possible. And this is still a thing that I'm working on, I'm evolving, and I give myself grace for that. But I've learned it with Instagram. Something as simple as when I come on stories, I don't need to say, hey guys, happy Monday, how you doing? If I want to talk to people about something on Instagram, I come on and I'm like, the thing about getting to know yourself is you really have to spend time to do it. Like, I'm straight into the point. That was an example. I'm straight into the point, right? Yes, there will be times when I'm kikiing with my audience and kind of building that relationship. But for the most part, nobody has time. We have like 20 minutes worth of other TikToks we want to watch. Get to the point. Get to the point, Sally. The final tip is to put yourself in the path of lightning. I've shared this earlier in the video, but I'm going to say it again. You never know when lightning is going to strike, and you need to put yourself in the path of lightning. It's not about kind of waiting with your hands folded and kind of seeing like, maybe if luck happens. No, like luck likes to meet people who are prepared. The people who get the most out of opportunities and luck when it comes are those who are prepared. Imagine being offered the opportunity to have a job where, you know, you can earn $500,000, let's say annually, but your CV is not ready. You can't communicate clearly what you've done in your previous job that would make you suitable for this job. Sometimes it's about getting your house in order, putting yourself out there and putting yourself in the path of lightning. Like, do the research, come up with titles, thumbnails. I have whole notes in my phone every time I come up with an idea for a YouTube video. I may not be ready to record it, but I have the idea noted somewhere. I'm putting myself in the path of lightning so that when I am ready to record, when I feel good, when I feel like, okay, today I can knock out a couple of videos, I've put myself in the path of lightning by having ideas readily available. I've done the research. I have practiced communicating. Is there always room for improvement? Yes. But am I constantly trying to put myself in the path of lightning? Yes. You never know when all of these platforms are going to roll things out that will work in your favor. And the best thing you can do is put yourself in the path of lightning. Don't be in it for a quick time, be in it for the long haul. And that comes back down again to knowing your why. Why are you doing this? For me, it goes beyond all of these platforms, whether that's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. What I'm trying to build goes beyond that. And you need to discover what that is for yourself. Otherwise, you will be pulled in 1,000 different directions by any of the advice that people give. The way that you can filter out what works for you is by taking time to get to know yourself, your why, and yeah, it just helps. Take time to understand better why you are on these platforms. Otherwise, you can even just end up in pursuit of fame and numbers and not know how it adds up. If you're someone who wants to get paid from this, the way you're going to show up across all platforms or any platform that you choose to be on, it's going to be different from someone who's just sharing for the sake of enjoyment or, you know, has their 9 to 5, right? That is it from me today. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If there are any questions or any other type of videos that you guys would like to see, whether it's about YouTube, content creation, Instagram, TikTok, anything, let me know down in the comments below. If you're not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button and hopefully we can do a YouTube giveaway. I don't know how those work, but I'm going to find out and figure out how we can actually do a YouTube giveaway because I'm so grateful for each and every single person that is on here. And if you're just swinging by and you don't plan on staying, that's okay. Hopefully we will cross paths at another time. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you later. Alligator.